Okay, so it's early in the morning. Haven't gone to bed yet. Things are on my mind. I wanted to tell you all of my story. Begins from birth until now. Um, when my birth mother had given birth to me, she said, "How old does the baby have to be before I can spank it?" Because she was getting violent towards me, and I was, like I said, just born. And anyway, they wrote it down because it was so upsetting to the nurses and everything, and um, they just had it in my file. And a week later, she, my birth father was on the couch. My birth mother was in like a room or something with me. I was, like I said, 1 week old, and I was screaming because she had her thumb down my throat and she was trying to get her whole fist down my throat. She was trying to kill me at a week old. My birth parents are Karina Faye Martin from Gresham, Oregon, and Billy Ray Foster from Portland, Oregon. I don't care if they see this. In fact, I want them to see this, so they can get like a better idea, better picture of what, I got in contact with my birth father not too long ago, but I'm getting to that. So I was adopted at several months old. I was in foster care, and well, my childhood was pretty good, although there were, some bad times, obviously, but like, I don't know. It's just, I've had a hard life, pretty much, because my birth mother has, or had schizophrenia. And at the age of 6, I didn't have any friends that would come over from school, so I had imaginary friends. And my mom and dad, my adopted parents, they took me to a child psychologist and said that I was talking to people who weren't there. And that was 6 years old, 5 or 6. And they were like, "Oh, well, she must have schizophrenia because her birth mother does." And then they put me on like 10 different adult medications. And like it really screwed me up. It let my brain wire the wrong way, and you know so so my brain was wired differently, and I had trouble communicating with people. I had trouble asserting myself. I was very passive about things. I would say what I thought people would want to hear from me. And by the time I was 18, my mom and dad, they still wanted me to go to high school until I was 21. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be there until I'm 21. Like, I'm just not. Like, so anyway, high school comes around and they graduate me because I was held back in ninth grade. So they graduated me a year early and the deal was that I was going to be held back ninth grade and then do a full 4 years left of high school. I mean, the 5 years, but the four, starting again as the in the ninth grade. And and I was supposed to get a modified diploma then. But they graduated me my junior year, which like it was a year early, but it was kind of on time also. So I went to another school in the school district for another year of education. And while there, I wasn't able to get my GED. I suck at math. I used to really suck at making friends. But since I've been off the medication and, uh, growing up, it's just been hard because Jonathan and I both had hard times together, and things are happening. And then Jonathan got arrested several years back. And when I had my first son, my family felt like I wasn't ready to be a parent, so they called CPS and made up a ton of shit about me. And they came to me after my son was taken and was like, I'm so sorry, and it's like, well, you really fucked me out of that chance, didn't you? And then we're doing the hoops. Well, Carl was sexually molested. My oldest son, Carl Purdy, sexually molested. And there was nothing I could do. And anyway, he has like several things going on with him. And then JJ, my youngest, also does. Same thing happened with him. I was doing all my things with Carl. My attorney was under investigation for a ton of things. She was doing illegal activities with inmates and just drug dealers, and it just wasn't good. And I had gotten pregnant, but I wasn't trying to get pregnant. I had used condoms. 2 types of spermicide, the foam and then the film that the day after pill, the weekly patch. Every week you change out a patch and it prevents pregnancy. And 5 types of birth control pills or birth control. And I still got pregnant, because at the time I wanted to get my son back and I wanted to settle down and stuff before I had another kid. So, I ended up getting pregnant, and so I was telling my attorney, I need my papers, my relinquishment of parental right papers, because I didn't want the same thing to happen to my youngest, JJ. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I'll get it in the mail to you. And then I would call her back like a week later, and she's just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm getting it ready, and it's going to be in the mail very soon. And she kept saying this, it's in the mail, it's going to be going to the mail, I'm getting it out, I'm on top of it, It got to the point where I was out of time. They were going to terminate my parental rights. And because my attorney was doing illegal activities at the time, I think you could find it if you type in Kimberly Grijalva. I think that was her name. I don't care if she sees this, but she never got me those relinquishment of parental right papers. So I was about to be terminated on. But because she was doing all this shit, I had a new attorney assigned to me, court provided, and court appointed. And she then faxed me the papers and I signed them. But by the time I signed it was too late because JJ had already been born and they snatched him up as fast as they could. Now Jonathan was in foster care all throughout his entire life. He's never met his family, and if he did, he doesn't remember most of them. Or, some of the time. But his uncle's ex-wife stayed in the family, and I don't really know why. They didn't have any kids together, but she married his uncle. They divorced. Several years later, he dies, and they keep her in the family. Anyway, she decided that she wanted to get her hands on Carl. This is Sandra and Bobby Tabor. And she told me, she goes, if you let me adopt Carl, because CPS can't do anything, because I'll kick their butts, because, whatever. If you let me adopt him or whatever, I will keep his first, middle, and last name the same. And then I will hire an attorney and give him back to you once CPS is done with their investigation and everything like that. And he's going to call us Mama and Papa, because that's what the grandkids call us. And so we were like, great, yeah, absolutely. And so we went through with it, even though I really didn't want to, because I was getting red flags and she kept lying about everything. And but then they let her, the state let her, because like I said, I was doing all the stuff and I couldn't sign my papers in time because my attorney was doing shit. And then, like, when I had Carl, the second I had, well, okay, with Carl though, first with Sandy and Bobby Tabor, they started making him call them mom and dad, and they changed his last name. And then when I asked when I could get my son back, Sandy said, "Oh, I never said you could get him back." And I have two witnesses that can actually prove that she actually said that. My husband was sitting right beside me when she told me, and my best friend was on the phone, and she heard that. She overheard that. And she's like, "So when are you going to get your son back?" I'm like, "She's lying. She won't give him back to me." And it's just not okay. So then at this point, I'm jumping through the same crap, doing the same shit, for CPS with my youngest son, JJ. And, so, like, we just keep jumping through these hoops. And then the CASA was like, "Oh, well, we want you to go to these parenting classes. It's at this time, at this whatever." And we were like, "Okay." And she's like, "You need to call this number and let them know that you'll be attending." And then, like, that's. And so we did. And the very next day, she calls us into the office. We go in. And she says, and this is for what she said. She said, "I called the lady and she said that you flat out lied like a rug. You did not call." And Jonathan and I were looking at each other and we were like, "We did call." And then we had the number to prove it in our phone that we actually called that number. And he's like, "Would you like my phone bill to see?" And she's like, "Oh, no, that's okay." Because she knew that we were not lying about that. She knew it. Because if she actually did suspect that we were lying, then she would want proof. But she knew it. And all this shit's going down. And when they get, when they give us, the court papers stating, what we need to do and all of that. So we were doing those. And CPS would be like, "Well, you guys aren't doing any services, because we had the services that they had required in the beginning, and we had completed those successfully, and with good results." And they're like, "Oh, well, it doesn't look, you guys need to do more services." And we're like, "Okay, so what do we need to do?" And they'll be like, "Talk to your attorney. They'll give you a checklist." Call up our attorney and they'll say, "Oh, you got to talk to CPS because they have the checklist. It's not up to us. It's up to them, what they want to do." So we call them and we call the attorney, call the attorney. And finally we don't get anywhere. So finally we call the CASA and tell her. And she actually types one out, prints it out, gives it to us. And they're doing all this stuff with my son that they should not be doing. They let Sandy take him for his first birthday weekend when we were supposed to have time with him. She was supposed to have him for the weekend, and Monday was his birthday. And they let him go down there to Washington, where Carl is. And she goes and tells the foster mom, "Hey, Jose," who was the caseworker at the time, "Jose said I could keep him for the whole week." When we call her, because we're upset because it's now Sunday night and everything. And she we're talking to her, and she's like, oh, well, Lori, the foster mom or whatever, told me that it was okay that I had him for the full week. And then when she talked to Jose, the caseworker, she said, oh, Lori said I could have him for the week. And so it's like she was constantly lying. She got my son for his first birthday, which is not okay. And we tell Sandy not to throw him a birthday party because that was our time with him. Well, we find out through Facebook photos that she actually threw a full-on first birthday party for him. And it's wrong. She said she wouldn't do it, and she did. And then she tried so hard to get JJ, and we were doing the services, jumping through all the hoops like they had asked us to do. And finally, and they keep adding stuff to the list. We want you to do this and this and this and this. Oh, we want you to do this, 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 and this too. But also when you're done, you're going to do this, this, and this. So we're constantly doing shit all the time. And jumping through hoops, going to services, going to appointments, giving urine, giving answers, going to counseling, going to psychiatrists, whatever. The whole freaking 9 yards. We're constantly getting shit done because we really want our fucking son back, And so Sandy gets into contact with the CPS over here. And she said, oh, well, I really want JJ, they should stick together, whatever. And then they asked us, is it okay? And we said, absolutely not. She's a liar. She is a complete and utter liar. And so she goes and tells the CPS that Jonathan has an uncle in Kansas who would be able to take him. And they did. And it was Donnie and Gabby Purdy. And they said, they were like, we are not going to force him to call us mom and dad like Sandy. We're just not going to do it. We're going to see if he wants to, but if not, then that's okay, whatever. And so we were like, great. And he's like, and I'll also take him all the time to come down and visit you guys. And, and he was making it sound really good. So then we agreed. And it was that if Donnie didn't adopt him by the time it was time for it, then we would get JJ back. But Donnie pushed really, really, really hard for this to happen, because they're narcissistic. It benefits them. They don't care about anyone else's feelings unless it benefits themselves. They're old. They have their own grandkids and grown children that are out of the house. They don't need to be doing this. They don't need to be like this. Well, he gets him, and automatically he goes, I'm your daddy, and I'm and having him call Gabby mommy and shit. And I would get on the phone, I'd be like, it's mommy, and he goes, no, his parents are right here. And he was just pure evil. Anyway, he died. I had a celebration. I was so happy that he died. But the thing is, when they kept cutting off contact with us, and our attorney said, if they do it again, you can sue them for custody back of your son. Well, they've cut contact now because Donnie's died. Gabby has our number, and not CPS won't help us. We tried hiring attorneys without money and they won't help us. Our old attorneys won't help us. The open adoption people will not help us at all. They are not pursuing anything. We have an open adoption with a minimal of 3 visits a year. Anyway, also, besides all of that and all that shit happened, I ended up getting arthritis in both my hips, and I needed surgery to correct some, my area down there because I had some complications. But it's like now I'm in an apartment. There was people all over that was wanting to kill us, and there for no reason, for a rumor that was spread. Jonathan's been beat up several times. I beat other people up several times. I'm not proud of it, but I just don't know what to do. Friends who I thought were friends were not friends anymore because one reason or another. It's just really just, you know. But we just had a hard life. So we're in this teeny tiny little 1-bedroom apartment. And I really wish that our lives would change for the better. We're on SSI. And we have nothing now. I mean, we have each other, but yeah, I mean, take everything we wanted and just fucked it away. Took away our chance to do anything right. My attorney, I told her, I said, I was born to be a mom. And she goes, oh, you can still be a mom. You can adopt. And at the time, JJ was still in foster care. And I go, oh, okay, well, can I just sign my parental rights away and just petition the court to adopt him back? Because that, to me, that seemed logical. She said, no, it has to be somebody else's child. Why? Why isn't it that I can't get my own, it doesn't make sense. And she's like, no, it's because, because you signed your parental rights away voluntarily, it's considered voluntarily. So because you're not terminated on, they you can still adopt. And when they gave me the termination of parental rights papers at the court with JJ, the judge said, is there anyone who's forcing you to do this? And I said, yes. And she said, who? And I said, y'all. And I went like this, pointing at everybody. And she's like, we're not making you do it. And I'm like, yeah, you are actually. Either I don't sign your fucking paper and you terminate my parental rights, or I do sign your paper and I get an open adoption, and they're like, well, you can choose not to, but yeah, it would, terminate. And I don't want to do that because that's just not good. I wouldn't be able to adopt it or anything. Anyway, I've tried adopting. I've been told I was a horrible person. I was asked why exactly I couldn't have my kids if I'm adopting, and I don't even know who that was. I assume it was Sandy's family harassing me and finding my Craigslist post. I just really want to, this is several years later. My sons are going to be 9 and 10 this summer. And it's March now. Anyway, I thought I'd let you know my story. I don't have any money. I don't have a car. I don't have a house. I don't have really anything. Because luck is never on my side. I am never lucky. If I get one thing in life, it would be to fuck Marilyn Manson and have a master bitch relationship with them. And I'd be the bitch. Ha 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 ha. I would love that. That would be so hot. But unless that's going to happen, my life is worth nothing. But anyway, I thought I'd let you know my story. My throat's going out. Gotta smoke some more of that weed. And I did start smoking weed after my youngest son was adopted out, because I didn't do it while I was in the process of getting him back. So I just thought I'd let you know that now. But I did smoke cigarettes. I've been smoking cigarettes for a very long time now. But, if you can take away from this, great. I'll see you in the next one that I do when I do something weird or whatever. Okay. Booga.